Are we alone in the universe? Or is the truth finally stepping out of the shadows? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely massive, the recent, unprecedented Pentagon UFO file drop. We're going to examine this whole declassification process, track the timeline of transparency against what looks like decades of government cover-ups, and figure out exactly what secrets are finally coming to light.
To really wrap your head around how desperate the public is for answers, you just need to look at one number: 340 million. That is the staggering number of hits the newly launched Pentagon UFO website got in literally just its first 12 hours online. People are absolutely starving for the truth here.
Now, this insane web traffic really highlights a growing tension. You've got filmmakers like Dan Harmon claiming we're in the middle of a major turning point in human history. But when researchers actually roll up their sleeves and comb through the 1,162 newly released files, well, the reality feels a lot less Hollywood and honestly a lot more bureaucratic.
So part 1, the Pentagon's UFO file drop. Let's look at what's actually in these files. To be fair, the drop does include some genuinely striking modern visuals. Take this 2013 infrared video, for example. It was captured by a U.S. military sensor over the Middle East, and it shows this highly symmetrical, 8-pointed star-shaped anomaly. Researchers are actually calling it the Christmas tree object. And right alongside that, there's some pretty eerie footage of a UFO navigating right near an offshore wind farm. But this isn't just a random collection of modern drone footage. These files actually rip the lid off decades of historical reports. We're talking raw space shuttle imagery. And get this, even declassified audio all the way from 1965, where Gemini 7 astronauts can be heard frantically describing a mysterious object to mission control.
Which brings us to part 2, anomalies on the moon, the Apollo revelations.
Okay, enter the blue dots. According to investigative journalist Ross Coulthart, the Department of War has quietly acknowledged that these blue anomalies, seen hovering over the lunar surface during the Apollo 12, 14, and 17 missions, well, they weren't just camera glitches or lens flares. They are reportedly acknowledged as physical, intelligently controlled entities. I mean, let that sink in for a second. That is an absolute earth-shattering admission coming from the Pentagon.
And the real smoking gun here? It's how these objects actually behave. Coulthart notes that imagery of these lunar anomalies shows what they call dot schools, making these instantaneous movements and generating extraordinary lift. These definitely aren't just floating space rocks. Their maneuvers perfectly match the 5 observables, which is the strict criteria experts use to officially classify something as a UAP.
And remember, this wasn't just captured on some grainy, distant film. This was witnessed by human eyes. Apollo 14 lunar module pilot Edgar Mitchell privately confirmed seeing these exact blue objects on the lunar surface. But the response he got? He was allegedly told it was treason, a total breach of duty to ever speak about what he saw to the public.
Moving on to part 3, decades of government cover-ups. Let's look at the timeline of secrecy and leaks.
When we actually map all this out, a really clear pattern emerges. This ongoing tug-of-war between historical space sightings and forced transparency. It kicks off in the Gemini Apollo eras, then goes totally quiet, and suddenly flares back up with that 2013 infrared footage. But the dam? The dam really broke in 2017 with the famous New York Times Pentagon leak. That triggered a domino effect, leading straight to today's file dump.
So, is this current file dump the real deal? Well, UFO researcher Jim Quirk argues no, this does not represent actual disclosure. In fact, he believes they are most certainly still covering things up. For the investigative community, this whole website is just an appetizer. It's a slow tease, while the really major, world-changing secrets remain firmly locked away.
Part 4, why stagnate full disclosure? Crossing that red line.
Just notice the massive gap here between what we're being told and what's being held back. We're being fed unexplained aerial videos, some star-shaped objects, a few audio transcripts, essentially the government throwing up their hands and saying, "We don't know what this is." But, according to whistleblowers, the real truth. We're talking alien biologics, the legendary 1947 Roswell files, and recovered non-human craft. All of that is intentionally being kept in the dark.
So you've got to ask, why hide the physical craft? Well, experts suggest the primary motive here is basically technological dominance. The prevailing theory is that defense and aerospace contractors are secretly reverse engineering these recovered crafts. We're talking heavily guarded, deeply classified installations like Wright-Patterson and Area 51, where they're shielding next-generation technology from both the public and global rivals.
And the crazy part is, lawmakers are finally starting to confirm there is so much more behind the curtain. Representative Tim Burchett states that he's actually seen unreleased, high-quality images currently held by the government, and he claims flat out, they will keep you up at night. Pretty chilling, right?
All right, part 5, the next phase of transparency. What exactly is coming next?
If you listen to whistleblower David Grush, the pressure on the government is about to completely boil over. Expectations within the UAP community are that these revelations, along with the congressional demand for 46 specific currently unreleased videos, are going to rapidly escalate in the next 60 to 90 days. We are literally sitting in a pressure cooker right now.
Ultimately, the investigative community is demanding the government stop, treating the public like children. As Jim Cork points out, true transparency means going all the way back to the beginning. They need to release the legendary files and physical documentation from the 1947 Roswell crash. For most people following this, that is the disclosure we are actually waiting for.
So, as this 80-year timeline of secrets slowly, painstakingly unravels before us, we're really left to wonder, will the government ever willingly cross that red line of full, unabashed disclosure? Or is it going to take an undeniable global event, something massive that millions of people capture on their cell phones, to finally force the ultimate truth out into the light? Keep questioning, keep your eyes on the skies, and thank you for joining me on this explainer.